All right, so let's talk about something we all know, something we all feel, anxiety. But we're going to talk about it in a way that might just flip everything you've ever thought about it on its head.
Seriously, what if it's not some kind of malfunction you need to fix? What if it's not something you're supposed to get rid of, or medicate, or just avoid at all costs? What if anxiety isn't your enemy at all, but one of the most brilliant tools you have? So that's our mission here. We're going to explore how to completely reframe this powerful emotion. We're going to learn how to stop fighting it and actually start listening to it so you can turn it from a cage that keeps you stuck into a compass that points you exactly where you need to go.
Okay, let's just dive right in. The thing is, anxiety is not a bug. It's a feature. It evolved for one very, very good reason: to keep you safe. You know that racing heart you get before a big presentation? That's your body getting you ready to perform. That little knot in your stomach before a difficult conversation, that's your gut telling you, hey, this is important.
And this is where we need to get really clear. There's a huge difference between functional anxiety and what we call stuck anxiety. Functional anxiety is that helpful whisper, just a little nudge to pay attention. But stuck anxiety? That's a screaming fire alarm that completely paralyzes you. One gets you moving, the other freezes you in place. One's a compass, the other's a cage.
And that right there is the key. Our real enemy isn't anxiety itself. Not at all. The real enemy is getting stuck in it. It's about learning how to hear that helpful signal through all that deafening, paralyzing noise.
And you know what this feels like, right? This is when you can't stop focusing on that tightness in your chest. It's when your brain instantly jumps to the absolute worst-case scenario and then plays it on a loop, over and over again, until you feel like you just can't move.
And that's really the heart of it. The goal is not to become some fearless superhero. It's to become fluent in what your own body and mind are telling you so you don't get trapped in those painful cycles. The goal is simply to get unstuck.
And here is the really great news. There's a clear path to do exactly that. We're going to walk through a 4-phase framework that can totally transform your relationship with anxiety, literally moving you from the cage to the compass.
So here's our roadmap. It's 4 simple steps: befriend, soothe, redirect, and act. Each one builds on the last, and together they create a brand new way to respond when anxiety shows up at your door.
All right, let's get into phase 1, befriend. Now, this is a massive mindset shift. Most of us treat anxiety like a faulty smoke alarm that's just blaring for no reason. We just want to smash it with a broom to make it stop. But what if it's actually detecting real smoke? This phase is about treating anxiety not as noise, but as data.
And here's how you actually start. Instead of beating yourself up for feeling anxious, you get curious. You become a detective. You ask, hey, what are you trying to protect me from? And you just notice where you feel it in your body, without judging it as good or bad. It just is.
Take Marcus, for example. He's a software engineer who would get this intense anxiety before team meetings. But once he started to befriend it, he realized it wasn't random at all. It was a signal that he wasn't being fully honest about some project challenges. His anxiety was actually a nudge toward integrity. So, here's your action. Try it for a week. Keep a little journal and see what patterns your anxiety is pointing to.
So, once you start listening, the next step is to soothe. Because let's be real, you cannot have a rational conversation with a nervous system that is in full-on panic mode. It just doesn't work. This phase is all about calming your body down before you try to solve anything with your brain.
So how do you do that? With some really simple physical tools. Things like deep breathing, and here's a pro tip: make your exhale longer than your inhale. That sends a direct signal of safety to your brain. Or grounding yourself by noticing, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, and so on. And most importantly, stop yelling at yourself for feeling this way. Talk to yourself like you would a good friend.
Look at Jasmine. Her social anxiety before networking events used to be just crippling, like a 9 out of 10. So she created this little pre-event soothing routine for herself. A little breath work, some self-compassion, a grounding exercise, and it didn't make the anxiety disappear, but it brought it down to a totally manageable 4. So your action is to create your own calm kit. What are 3 things you know can calm you down?
Okay, so you've listened, you've soothed. Now you're ready for phase 3, redirect. See, stuck anxiety is a time traveler. It loves to drag you into the future to imagine every possible disaster. This phase is all about yanking yourself back to the present moment and challenging the crazy stories anxiety is telling you.
And this is just a brilliant tool for doing that. You literally draw a line down a piece of paper. On one side, you write the story your anxiety is screaming at you. This is going to be a total disaster. On the other side, you write the actual facts. I can't predict the future. Or the story is, I'll have nothing to say. And the fact is, I've had plenty of good conversations in my life. Just seeing that separation can be a game changer.
Here's another really powerful way to redirect. Look at Tom. His dating anxiety was all about the fear of not performing perfectly. He was so stuck in that fear, so he redirected. He shifted his focus from the fear and onto what he actually valued, making an authentic connection. And that changed everything. So your action is to ask yourself, what do I truly value in this situation? Let that guide you, not the fear.
All right, we've arrived at the final and maybe most important phase, act. And this is built on a truth that feels like a paradox. If you wait for the anxiety to go away before you take action, you will wait forever. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting in the presence of fear.
And you don't do this by jumping off a cliff. No way. You do it by building an exposure ladder, just like Keisha did for her fear of public speaking. Look at her steps. She started with the smallest possible thing, just speaking up once in a tiny meeting. Then a brief update. Each small step proved to her brain that she could handle it, and that slowly chipped away at the fear.
You know, one day a colleague told Keisha she seemed so confident when she presented, and she thought, if only you knew. She wasn't confident, she was still anxious. The difference was she had learned how to act alongside her anxiety. That's the secret. So your action is simple but huge. Pick one small thing you've been avoiding because of anxiety and just do it this week.
Let's just let that sink in for a minute. Confidence is not something you have to find before you can start. It's the feeling you earn after you take the scary step. Every time you act, you're building evidence that you can handle it. That evidence, that's what confidence is.
So I want to leave you with this. The next time you feel that familiar knot in your stomach or that racing in your chest, instead of asking, how can I make this stop, try asking a different question. When you stop fighting your anxiety and start listening to it as a guide, you might just be amazed at where it leads you.